Hi, I'm Arthur and I draw stuff. Welcome to my channel. I'm sorry I haven't posted for a while. Life just got in the way. Today, I'm redesigning Rarity. If this is your first time here, I have redesigned Twilight, Rainbow Dash, Fluttershy, and Applejack so far. Last on my list is Pinkie Pie, so keep a lookout for her. For Rarity, I took a lot of inspiration from chic fashion trends, especially the models themselves, and opted for a tall, thin frame. For her pose, I ended up using a 3D model and posed it myself because I was struggling with getting it to look right in previous attempts. Her hair was also quite a challenge for me. As you can see, I went through multiple attempts and almost just settled on doing a bun, but after looking at what other artists did, I managed to get her classic hairstyle to work. Since I tend to draw more naturally styled hair, it was certainly a challenge, but I'm pretty happy with the results. The biggest challenge for me was definitely getting it to interact with the arm in a realistic way, and while I think it ended up looking fine in the end, I certainly need more practice. I did my best with the hair behind her back, but I ended up needing to make a few changes later on to get it to float slightly better. Moving on to the outfit, I took a lot of inspiration from some outfits I found on Pinterest. That app is literally my lifeblood for finding references, although I wish they would do something about the AI problem. Regardless, I found several cute tops with fabric overlapping in the front and transitioning to off-the-shoulder sleeves. These were often also paired with a corset of sorts, and I tried my best with getting that to work, but it just wasn't looking right, so I opted for simple belt instead. I also chose to pair the top with a simple short skirt with a slit in the side. I don't know exactly why, but I feel like the slit just matches her vibe. Once that was done, I cleaned up the sketch for the rest of her body, paying special attention to her face. I gave her much longer eyelashes than I normally draw, and sharp eyebrows. I even outlined an area for her lips because she would definitely be wearing lipstick. I struggled a bit with the nose, and even when I thought it was looking right, I still needed to redo it a few times when I got to the line art phase. I think it's mainly the angle that's throwing me off. I really need to do more studies. For the line art, like in my last few videos, I used a basic pencil brush to get a more natural feel, making sure to separate things like the skin from the hair to make coloring it later on a lot easier. While you watch me do that, I wanted to know what you want to see in future videos. Next up, and last for the series, is Pinkie Pie, but I don't want to just do MLP content. If you have any suggestions for other characters or other character design challenges, I would greatly appreciate it. When picking the colors, I decided not to color pick again and just decided to try and match the colors by eye instead, doing my best to pick colors similar to her canon design. For her skin tone, I decided to go with super pale skin, as I feel she would be the type to wear a lot of sunscreen and do her best to protect herself from tanning. With the shading, I tried a new technique, starting with a single layer over all of the colors, marking out where the main shadows would likely fall. I just used a purple color for this and set it to multiply. Then I copied and merged the flat colors, pinning them on top of the shadow layer, using a hue and saturation adjustment layer to make the colors slightly darker and warmer. After a few adjustments, I had my base shadows. This technique ensures that the shadows don't appear muddy in areas where they might if just a multiply layer was used, and make sure that the shading is all the same level of opacity. For the highlights, I used an overlay layer like usual, but since I couldn't clip it to the main colors, I just had to be careful and erase any areas that went out of bounds. After a few extra details to individual layers, adding depth and detail to the eyes, texture to the shirt, and even making the skirt appear sparkly, I added some big soft shadow and highlight layers using the same techniques. I'm not sure if I will use this technique again in the future, but it was definitely an interesting experience. I might even try merging the main idea with my usual process, shading each color layer individually, to see how that feels. I learned this technique through a video by Line Sensei that goes into a bit more detail on how it works. That video will be linked below if you're interested. For the final details, I added her cutie mark, as always made by Black Griffin on DeviantArt, and an image of her pony design. If you have any feedback, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. And while you're there, please consider liking and subscribing if you enjoyed this video. With that out of the way, see ya!